Hey guys, Dave TC coming to you with another video. As you guys can see from the title, this is going to be tips and tricks on how to win pre-release events. I was able to get my hands on two pre-release winner Zoros. Got second place here, undefeated here. And this video is more to teach you guys on my way on how I go about pre-release events to be able to win this best chance possible. As you guys know, pre-release events or sealed events, it's hard to give you guys tips and tricks because we're not gonna pull the same cards. It's gonna be six packs. So you're gonna have, depending on what you pull, depending on the deck you build. So you can, go through the tips like I do here and still lose just because unfortunately the six packs you got didn't set you up to win. So it's going to be also some RNG, more RNG than usual in a card game in these sealed events, unfortunately. But as long as you get average pools, that's all you really need to hopefully take the game. And that's what I'm here for. So again, most of this information is going to be very generic. It's going to be more for deck building, going first or second, what leader to pick. Stuff that most of you guys already know about, but maybe there's something that you guys don't know that I'll probably bring to light. But it's going to be more for new people that are really don't do sealed events and just give you the insight on how I go about it. So if you guys want to know about it, stick around and we'll start first talking about the leaders. So leaders, you guys know, you guys can get from OP05 to OP01, but in OP06 you get new leaders that you're able to play if you pull it. So as you guys see from the thumbnail, for both events I was able to pull Yamato. So Yamato is the new OP06 leader that has a built-in double attack, and if your opponent's at 3 life, you're able to put 2 Rested Dawn into one of your characters, making it, usually a 7k or higher swing for free, basically. Very, very good. So the first tip is, what leader do you play? If you pull Yamato, just play Yamato. She is just very, very good in a pre-release format with a double attack. So good to the fact that I hope she gets banned in future pre-release events because it's just going to be straight up Yamatos from here on out until new leaders come out. But that's just my prediction. Point being is, if you pull her, play her. I don't care what other cards you get. And if you don't pull her, then you will go ahead and play the other leaders that we normally like to play, which is, Zoro, Katakuri, Kid. With this OP06 and red purple law will not be a bad choice as well. And now because it can kind of handle the Yamato due to the double attack, is able to gain another life. And there's an event card here that by resting your leader, now you're able to wipe all 2 costs, which is all your blockers. And red purple law, you can kind of take advantage of the Germa 66, but mainly the Ryu, the 4-drop Ryu to draw 2 cards. If you pull a lot of Ryu's super rares in the 6 packs. So those are leaders I will take with you depending on what you pull. Those are the 5 that you will maybe play. Or like I said, if you just pull Yamato, just play Yamato because just how good she is. Now going first or second with Yamato, I recommend going first, but it all depends on what you pull. If you pull a lot of even cards that you have 2, 4, 6, even 8, if you pull Green Bull Gekomoria, then you might want to just go second. But if your cards are pretty even, you're not going too much on going second, then going first with Yamato will give you an advantage, especially in the mirror match, because you want to start swinging in quickly, making your opponent lose their hand, and then building board first compared to the mirror match. So going first with her is actually recommended. Usually with other leaders in pre-release formats, going second is preferable because you don't have that much hand power and any draw counts in the pre-release. But with Yamato's sake, if the 6 packs allow you to, you will go first with her. From there, with deck building wise, I usually start out the same way like I always do in pre-release. I first grab all the 2Ks I did pull. You won't unfortunately hit too many 2Ks, but hopefully you get like around 5 or 6. You put those immediately in your deck. Remember, in pre-release format, a 40-card deck. So I get all the 2Ks, which is going to help you counter out against the other opponents, your opponent's Yamatos that might swing with 6K to just check you if you have any 2Ks. And then if you do, you're able to at least pass a turn before you start taking those double attacks. After the 2Ks, I then focus on grabbing blockers. Blockers are going to help you in both ways with the Yamato, mainly to take advantage of or giving 2 rested Dawn. You're able to play a blocker basically for free because then you get the 2 rested Dawn to then be aggressive to your other character. And then you can focus on also just putting a lot of Dawn on your leader to swing at your opponents to guarantee the double attack. And then you're able to protect yourself on the back end. So after 2Ks, I pick all the blockers I can get. Doesn't matter what kind of blocker it is, just go ahead and put it in the deck because it's just gonna help you a lot. And then when you go against Yamato, then you can protect yourself from these double attack earlies with these blockers. The next thing I do with Yamato would be, or basically anybody, is to grab a generic vanillas. The vanillas are going to help you a lot because they're their stat lines and their 1K counters. Especially with Yamato, I like to play this guy a lot since I went first all the time. So I will play him for 5, and then if my opponent's at 3 life, he's swinging for 9K at your opponent to a point that they have to answer him or they're going to lose the game. And it's easier to protect a 7K than you're swinging at your leader as 5K. So a generic vanillas, not too many, maybe like 4 or 5 of them, just so you can at least see them in the matches, will help you out a lot because you need another body to swing. From there, then I go to event cards. The next one will be like this card right here. It's called Shark Arrow for 2 Dons, so basically free because of your Yamato. You get to KO 2 of your opponent's 3 costs that are resting. So if they swing out with 3K, the 3 cost 5K attackers, instead of wasting your attacks to clear their opponent's board, you're able to focus on your opponent's life. Give the 2 rested Dawn that you're going to use for this to clear your opponent's board and give it to your battle character to even add more pressure. And not only that you clear the opponent's board, you're able to still pressure your opponent's life and make him lose cards from hand. After that, from here, it's just going to be depending on what you pull. If you, actually, no, let me give you another comment that's very good. This is a common card, so you'll probably see them. It'll be the 3-drop Kuzan. In pre-release, as you guys know, you guys won't have a lot of hand power or not a lot of ways to be able to see cards that you need to see. So if you need to see a block or a 2K, and you have this in hand, you can play him for 3. He's going to have a good stat line of 3 costs for 5K. And this Kuzan says on play, you get to draw 2, discard 2, or you put 2 to the bottom. Doesn't matter. Point being is you get to draw 2 and then filter out 2 that you don't need, allowing you to see more cards and maybe help you in that matchup. All right. Now from here, then you go to your rares. This is where it's going to be very dependent because these commons are very easy to grab. So hopefully you do see these. And then if you see rares like Reject or even Gravity Blade, you immediately put these cards in the deck, right? Gravity Blade, very broken. Bottom deck 2, 6 costs or less. Reject, you get to pop a 5 cost or take your opponent's last life before you go for game, allowing you to help out. Cards like even Brook. Brook will also help you to then pop a 4 cost and having a good 6 stat line. So this will be the next thing I go for. After putting these, depending on the rare cards that you get, I will then look at the triggers, right? So in this set, there is a couple of trigger cards like Kawamatsu. Kawamatsu, Raizo are the main 2 I'm thinking of. Basically, they're a trigger that says if your opponent's at 3 life or less, you get to play them from your trigger. That's going to help you like turn the game where you need an extra string. Your opponent's been counting you like, oh, he's fine because he doesn't have an additional rusher in this format. So if he swings for life and this comes out, it could mess up the math. So by throwing a couple of these triggers, not too many because they don't have a counter. So if you do draw them, they could be dead to your hand. But a couple could throw the game if you're lucky enough that it does hit and trigger. I did play a couple of this. I think I played 3 of them with 2 Rizos, and then it has come in handy where I won the game because these hit on trigger. So definitely think about these cards. That could be an option, especially with Yamato, since you're able to get your opponent at 3 life if they're playing a 5 life leader with just 1 swing. And And then the last tip after that will be your super rare, secret rare, alt arts. So super rare, secret rare, alt arts. I mean, we're talking about you can get Green Bull, you can get Gecko Moria, you can get Perona. Any of those are just very useful. Again, this all depends on your luck at that point. I mean, you don't need them. I did not pull them, but my opponents pulled Green Bull and Gecko Moria. Like they help out a lot. So if you pull those, go ahead and throw them in there as well. And then that's usually how I go about going with 2Ks, blockers, vanillas, clearer board, special events, triggers, rare, and then my super rares. Make a cohesive 40 card deck that rolls around your generic leader. Yamato's very generic, very good. Then goes into the, Cat, Zoro, and Kid are also very generic with good abilities. And then NL and Red Purple Law, it depends on what you pull, but those can also be very good in this format. And that's how I usually go. And then obviously going first or second with those leaders. So going with Yamato, I recommend going first, so that's depending on your pool. But with Zoro, Kid, Cat, most of those you you want to go second. I know Zoro sometimes you want to go first, but it depends on your pool. The reason you want to go first with Zoro is you're able to pull a lot of vanillas that you're able to play early established boards, to then just go very aggressive. But in this set, there's not too many early cost vanillas that you're able to play with Zoro to take advantage of going first like that. So that's why I recommend with those generic leaders to go second, unless your pools kind of direct you to go first. So that'll be my tip with those other leaders if you don't pull Yamato. And I think, and then another tip with Yamato, because I saw a lot of mistakes of that. Not saying that you guys would do that, but remember, even though Yamato, you have that sense of putting a lot of down in your leader to just swing at your opponent. Remember to just focus on establishing board first in the early game to add that pressure. So I will swing with 6K with Yamato early and then establish a blocker. If you go, first. If you go second, swinging 5K, establishing a Kawamatsu or even a Kuzan to have a 3-5 on the board, and then next turn swing with 7 and then put another 3 cost. Point being is by adding multiple guys on the board for the pressure game, it's going to be very important, because I saw mistakes where people would just put a lot of down in their leader, swing, and not establish any board. So focus on doing that, and then obviously with the generic leaders, you're gonna do that the same. It's just sometimes with Yamato, I notice that people will prioritize putting a lot of down on her just to get the double attack in and not put pressure on the board, and then sometimes that can lead you the wrong way, especially if your opponents have blockers. All right, so don't forget to do that. And I think that should be all with the tips. Again, nothing too crazy, guys. So that's how I deck build, the leaders I would choose, and how you go about it. Hopefully, these little tips will help you guys win your pre-release Zoro. I wish you guys the best of luck. And then I'll just wait for my next video, guys. Dave TCU signing out.